What up, brawlers? Welcome back to Throwing Hands. It's me. It's Toby. Toby, what a card.
What a fantastic card. I got to watch it on a huge screen at a casino. First time at a casino as well, so that was fun.
Did you put any money on stuff?
Well, I did put a little bit on my boy Tony Ferguson, and that did
Oh,
not play out very well. And then
damn.
I was like, you know what? I lost money there, but I'm confident. I was very confident in Dustin Poirier going to get the job in the main event, and I think we all know how that turned out. So I lost a good bit of money, but I had a good time doing it. So.
All right. I'm sorry for your losses, but we'll get into this right now. Lots of finishes on this card. Miranda Maverick, man. I know she was heavily favored against Priscilla Cachoeira, who somehow didn't get cut after she tried to gouge Jillian Robertson's eyes out a couple years ago, but that's beside the point. Great armbar. I think she's in an interesting spot because she's so young. She can still cut to 25, but how much longer she can still cut to 25 is my question.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting fight. Cachoeira, she's definitely a dirty fighter. Like there's some people who make mistakes in there and you can excuse it, but she does this every fight. And even in this fight, she tried to do the cheeky one tap where you tap one time and then, if the ref doesn't see it, they're just like, oh, hopefully the other person lets up. It's what happened to Fabricio Verdum in PFL against Bruno Ferreira, Capoloza, whatever that guy's name is. But yeah, it was a good performance by Miranda Maverick in this one. She's a beast, man. She's huge. Like she is very muscular for this
She's
weight class.
yoked.
So she is absolutely yoked. So it was impressive. Yeah. I mean, she pretty much just dominated her the whole fight. As you can see in the striking number, she destroyed her and she got the submission finish. So it was a good performance.
Did you know that she's getting her PhD at Old Dominion?
I did not know that.
Yeah. Shout Miranda Maverick, a smart woman.
It's a
Um,
nice school.
it is a good school. Seth Osberg got wrecked by Udos Medic. I've been high on Medic. I think you and I have talked about. I've been high on Medic for a while. But I like Semmelsberger too, man. But I don't know. It was almost exactly halfway through the third round. But shout out Udo Smedic, man. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I was honestly impressed with both of these guys in this fight. I thought they both had great moments. In the first round, Simmelsberger dropped him a couple of times. He looked really good. He got caught with the up kick. He was being a little, his corner kept telling him to stand up, and he just wanted to go back into Madic's guard. He got caught in the chin. But that first round, he was stringing together nice combinations, ending with the leg kick. He was landing that overhand right a lot. I think he can get a bit too focused on trying to land that one big overhand right. But I thought he looked good, and Medic was able to just have better cardio near the end, and his combinations look fantastic. I mean, Medic, this was a great performance by him, and to come back from being hurt badly by we know Simmelsberger, he's got two, I think like sub 30-second knockouts in the UFC. He's got big time power, and Medic to come back and get a finish in the third round against this guy at elevation too. I thought it was super impressive.
No, no, not much more needs to be said after that. Uh, this dude, Darius Flowers, really ground my gears, man. Oh, shout out Jake Matthews though. But man, that was a clean liver shot. That was as clean as it gets almost. Toes right into the liver. And then he faked a nut shot, man. He pulled a Marty fake newsman and just Jake Matthews like, but Jake Matthews got the job done a minute or so later with the what was it, a rear naked choke that he started to tap before it even got locked in. Cut this dude immediately. That's what I say.
Yeah, yeah, it was interesting. I watching that, it definitely looked like the toes hit the liver, and they did, like the toes did hit the liver. I think his heel also kind of hit his cup, but I'm not sure where the brunt of the impact was, probably in the liver. But it doesn't really matter because Matthews was winning the fight pretty handily. I thought it was super impressive how, Flowers, although he's not the most technical guy, he's dangerous. I mean, he was in there swinging big haymakers, and Jake Matthews was very composed under fire. And we've seen this in a lot of his fights. I mean, Fialho is known for pressuring guys, getting into crazy firefights and knocking them out. And Jake Matthews, again, in the Fialho fight, was fantastic under pressure. So clearly, his experience in the octagon is starting to show because he is knows how to handle himself in a firefight and knows how to do it in a technical way. He's throwing nice uppercuts. He's ripping to the body beautifully. He did in this fight amazing work to the body. I thought it was a really good performance by him against a dangerous opponent.
I agree as well. Hold on, let me fix my monitor real quick. This is driving me nuts.
But yeah, Flowers,
Perfect.
I'm not sure if he's going to be in the UFC too long, but
No, that was
we'll see.
pitiful. And then he faked being rocked, but it was weird. Woo! Our boy Roman Kopilov got it done. That was feinted the jab a little bit. Head kick. That was one of the gnarliest head kicks I've seen, I think. It was so quick. And it's not something I expect from Kopilov because he tends to use his hands more. But that was beautiful. Oh my gosh. And Claudio Ribeiro, he's a tough cat, man. But dude, this was awesome. And I expect a lot from Kopilov going forward.
Yeah, this was a phenomenal performance. I thought the first round, you could tell he was making some reads, trying to figure out Claudio. Wasn't really fully committing to all of his shots, but he's so fast for his size at middleweight. He is so quick. It's unbelievable. He was poking Claudio with a nice jab. That straight left is a piston that he has. And yeah, that head kick, that was one of the loudest head kicks I have ever heard. I mean, that was straight shin to chin. He was done from that moment. He brought that leg up super quick, not much of a telegraph on it. And this was after, at the end of the first round, he got rocked pretty bad. He got caught on the end of one of Claudio's punches, which, yeah, I mean, everybody gets caught every once in a while. I thought it was still a great performance by him. And Claudio's a big power puncher. So there's no shame in that. And he still came back, got the finish with like 30 seconds into the second round. So this is a 3-fight finish streak for him now. I think all by KO or TKO. So I think he's got a really bright future ahead of him.
I think we gotta see this guy get some ranked competition.
Yeah,
Coming
he
up
called for
soon.
Strickland. I was like, I don't know. I mean, Strickland's ranked pretty high. That would be a very big step up in competition. But
I'm down for
given
Chris
what the
Curtis.
UFC, yeah, I'm down for Chris Curtis, definitely. I mean, given what the UFC has been doing, recently they gave Strickland Magomedov. They were gonna give Paulo Costa Ikram Alaskarov. So if they're just giving these unranked guys shots at the top 5 at middleweight, I mean, why not? I guess. But I think it would make more sense to fight a guy like Chris Curtis for sure.
For sure. Did Is Paul Craig not in the rankings anymore? In the middleweight rankings? I'm just looking at this right now. What the
Maybe
heck?
he's not yet. I mean, I'm not sure. That'd be
Maybe they
weird if he
didn't update
wasn't.
the rankings last week. Something tells me they didn't. Um,
Huh. I don't know.
yeah, I don't think they did. Aspinall should move up. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Um, next fight, I did not get a chance to see this fight. What were your thoughts on Vergara versus Salvador?
It was interesting. I mean, Salvador was taunting a lot. He was just showboating most of the fight, and he has really good head movement. I'll give him that. Vergara, he was ripping to the body occasionally, but I thought he could have done a lot more body work because Salvador was pretty much only using his upper body and slipping off the center line with his head. And Vergara kept chasing him, not really heading him off. He just kept trying to chase him, land big shots, and just wasn't working. I mean, he was able to outland him a little bit just because Salvador was good defensively, but really wasn't throwing that many counters back. Like looking at these stats, I am shocked that it was 109 to 89. It seemed like half of that really actually landed in terms of significant strikes in this fight. It was, it was decent, but it's just too much taunting and not enough action, in my opinion, on both sides, really.
Cool. Bomb Fiend versus Trevin Giles, man. I don't know why Bomb Fiend wasn't the favorite in this fight. That blows my mind because it was pretty thorough. Landed a little
Wow,
quick.
he wasn't the favorite.
Yeah, he wasn't the favorite. He was a plus 260 underdog. Where
What?
that blew my mind. But
That's crazy.
that guillotine was beautiful, man. I was clapping with that one, man. That was, I don't know. And then he looked good on the feet too. So I think he's a pretty big welterweight. I think if he could find a way to just stay cutting weight the best way he can, I think he'll be a serious problem in this welterweight division because he's big and he's skilled everywhere.
Yeah, that was highly impressive. And honestly, if I had looked at those odds more carefully, I definitely would have laid some money on Bonfim because I would have thought that he'd be a pretty significant favorite, honestly, coming into this fight. But yeah, he tagged Trevin Giles a couple of times and he just jumped that guillotine real quick, snatched it up. I didn't even think he had a great grip at first, but I think he put him out. I mean, he looked like he was, going into unconsciousness. So yeah, there's really nothing more you can say. It was extremely impressive, and I thought he showed well-rounded skills.
Indeed. I'd like to see him fight someone in the top 15 personally. I really would.
Yeah,
I think
yeah, I
he's
think he
great.
deserves it.
Michelle, let's feed him Michelle Pereira. Oh, speaking of Michelle Pereira, make the weight. Make the weight. I want to see Wonder Boy fight, damn it.
No, I do too, and I want to see Wonder Boy in a not favorable, but a fun matchup, like against Michelle Pereira, a guy who's not just going to wrestle him. And I get that, wrestling is part of MMA, and you can't always just say like, I don't want to fight wrestlers. Like you have to develop all parts of your game. But Wonder Boy has done so much for the UFC. He's given so much to this sport. I think he deserves at this point in his career to fight a guy like Michelle Pereira. And Pereira just blows it. I mean, he comes in 3 pounds heavy in the biggest fight of his life on a 5-fight win streak. You're getting a former 2-time title challenger, and you miss weight by multiple pounds. It's just absurd. It's ridiculous. I can't believe it, but
And Stephen Thompson on the MMA Hour yesterday, if you're listening to this the day it comes out, he was talking about like, oh, people are like, oh, it's only 3 pounds. Then make the weight. Cut the 3 pounds.
mm-hmm.
It's that simple. And he has
100%.
what's his face? Stephen Thompson has no obligation to take that fight. And I hope the UFC pays him because he showed up and did his part.
Yeah.
He showed he should get his pay. So Stephen Thompson's open to fighting JDM at MSG. I am game for that, man.
That's a banger.
That's a banger. Oh,
yeah,
man.
It's always weird when people blame the guy who showed up, made his weight. Like you signed a contract to fight at a certain weight, and the guy showed up at that weight, and then your opponent shows up heavy, and people are like, well, you should have still fought him anyway. No, no, you signed a contract for a reason at a specific weight class. That's why we have weight classes in the UFC. And like I said, he had no obligation to fight Michelle Pereira. And I don't care if, I blame Pereira. He's the guy that missed weight. I don't blame Stephen Thompson for not fighting.
Yeah. And you look back at Vettori versus Costa. Vettori didn't have to take that fight. They moved it up 20 pounds. He didn't have to take that fight. Are you kidding me? Shout out Marvin Vettori. Yeah. He's a dog. He's a BMF for that one, man. Shout out Marvin Vettori. Sure. I don't care what anybody says about him. He had, especially against Paulo Costa, a non-weight cut Paulo Costa at that.
Super dangerous.
Vettori. So can't wait for Hamzat versus Paulo Costa. Whew. Yeah. Elevation and wrestling defensively minded Kevin Holland might be a new mythical fighter, man. He stuffed that takedown. And Chiesa's weakness, the Darce choke. Interesting weakness to have, I think, because that's a tough choke to find. But man, Kevin Holland is you and I have said this. He's really, really good, and especially at welterweight, I can see him getting the belt. I really can, because Chiesa's one of the better. He's not the best by any means, but one of the better wrestlers in the division. You know what? Just thought about this at 170. Outside of Gilbert, there's no good jiu-jitsu guys. Colby Covington can. Yeah. I know he's a feel grappler, but Kevin Holland's jiu-jitsu is really going to carry him in this division, I think. And people say he has bad ground game. He has bad wrestling. His jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. And then Kevin Holland said, like, Chiesa should retire. I don't think I necessarily disagree with that due to the fact that Chiesa's not going to get into the top 10, I don't think. But Kevin Holland, man, if his wrestling defense holds up and gets better, he's going to be an issue, to say the least.
Yeah, I think Kevin Holland is a real problem at 170. His height and length this division is ridiculous. His striking is always on point. We know he's a great striker, right? But his jiu-jitsu is constantly improving. He's been a black belt for a long time. Even his wrestling and his wrestling defense is improving a lot. And really, he doesn't even need to become some amazing wrestler who gets takedowns of his own. We saw Adesanya has been champion for many years, and he never shoots takedowns. He just has great takedown defense. So Kevin Holland could be exactly that type of fighter. And yeah, it is weird. There actually haven't been that many Darce chokes in the history of the UFC. Like there have been a couple dozen probably. And I think three of them have been on Chiesa. It's like a weird amount of times that he's been finished with the Darce choke. But
Eh,
it's a
Kevin
perfect
Holland
choke for
has two or
Holland.
three of them, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect choke for him with how long his arms are. I mean, it was fantastic, man. It was a great performance. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do next. And like we talked about before this fight, the fight with Wonder Boy, super tough matchup for anybody, fantastic striker. The fight with Hamzat, obviously, like, what did we expect in that one? But other than that, I think he's got a good path to get up to like the top 8, top 5 of this division. I really could see that. And yeah, I thought that was very impressive by Kevin Holland.
Eh, I didn't realize this until like seeing some pictures. How the hell did Michael Chiesa make lightweight? How in the world? He looked like he dwarfed Poirier. Like what the heck? It,
Yeah,
it,
it's
yeah,
crazy, man. Some of these guys
he's
that,
a big
that used to
dude.
make lightweight is insane.
Gilbert
Even
Burns
Poirier
too.
now, Burns, yeah, Masvidal. I mean, I don't know how some of these guys used to make lightweight.
Yeah, I mean Colby could pretty easily, but he's a savage, natural weight class, like he said.
Yeah,
I'm not
one of
one
the
of these weight
few.
bullies. Shout out Colby Covington. All right,
I agree.
I'm gonna have a word on this real quick. It's not Tony time anymore. It's time, Tony. It's time, Tony. Hang it up, big dog. I love you. You're not in that way, but like I love you as a fighter, man. You're dope. I love your personality. Great dude. But like, dude, he can't keep going like this. He had a knockdown. I mean, that was kind of cool. Well, it wasn't recorded, but he won the first round because of the knockdown. He got poked in the eye. He kept trying to throw up triangles by pulling guard, and it wasn't working. And then he got subbed by Bobby Green. Subbed by Bobby Green. I'm not saying Bobby Green's not a bum by any means on the ground. He has pretty decent wrestling. But I didn't expect him to choke out Tony Ferguson cold. And Tony Ferguson let him slip his half guard. It looked like, and then Tony was wiggling around and nearly killed Dan Mergliata. But dude, I thought he was gonna win this fight. I'm so sad.
Yeah, this was extremely depressing. I think this was really the final nail in the coffin for Tony Ferguson. I texted you this, his win streak was 12 and now his losing streak is at 6. So it's half of what his amazing win streak was, which is really, really depressing to think about. But yeah, the reason I put a little money on Tony was because every time before he gets into these fights, man, he always just gives you some confidence. Like he shows a glimmer of his past self, and you think, like, yeah, this time's going to be different. He's not going to get brutally knocked out or submitted or, otherwise beat up. And then it just happens again. I mean, everything that made him so exceptional during his run, his durability, his cardio, his tenacity, his diversity of strikes, he's lost it all. I mean, he's not throwing creative elbows. He's not throwing, he's not doing like weird takedowns, and he doesn't do that anymore. His durability is somewhat still there. I mean, he was taking some big shots from Bobby Green, but it's clearly not what it used to be. His cardio isn't even there anymore. That's the most disappointing thing.
I thought
If
his
you watch
cardio
his
looked
fight with
okay.
it did look okay, but I think part of the reason why he got submitted was because his gas tank was running out, and Bobby Green was able to just get on top and kind of slice through his guard. And even his submission game, like if you watch his fight with Pettis, he just literally walked forward. And he got tagged with huge shots and just kept walking forward and destroyed Anthony Pettis. And Pettis couldn't continue after the second round. You watch his fight with Barboza. I mean, he did the same thing against a very dangerous striker and ended up submitting him in that fight. And this one, he just doesn't have it anymore, man. It is so sad to say, but Tony does not have it anymore. And there's no path for him forward after this. Like he has to hang it up, plain and simple. There's nothing else for him. He had one of the greatest runs we've ever seen, and he should have never fought Justin Gaethje. He should have never taken that fight. And
I think
you
that
know,
contributed to the downfall of his career too. You never come back from a fight like that and a beat down like that, unless you're Dustin Poirier against Dan Hooker,
yeah, yeah.
and like get back to like a normal career trajectory. That doesn't happen. It
Mm-mm.
can't happen really, and it's just sad. It's really sad, and you know, it's time, Tony. It's time.
Yeah. I mean, even the first round, that knockdown that he had of Bobby Green, he definitely knocked him down, but I think Bobby Green was a little bit off balance too. And I still even had a hard time giving the first round to Tony because Bobby was tagging him, and he landed a lot of significant strikes in that first round. And Tony had probably the most, significant one, at least in the eyes of the judges. But man, Bobby Green was landing some vicious strikes and good counters in that first round.
Especially after the eye poke. And Tony said, "Oh, the eye poke." Like, dude, you decided to continue to fight. So that's not an excuse, but I think we needed to, if Tony wants to continue fighting, I think we need to turn him into a prospect killer like Jim Miller.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
I don't even think he could do that.
I don't think he could do that. That's what I was going to say. I mean, he looked so slow in this fight compared to Bobby Green. And Bobby Green's a fast guy. Like, he has fast hands, but Tony looked unbelievably slow. He was shooting for takedowns and he was just whiffing. I mean, he wasn't even close on his entries. Some of them, his strikes were way off. His counters were way off. I mean, he just doesn't have the timing. He doesn't have the speed anymore. And it's very sad. But
Yeah.
we love you, Tony.
I had another thing. We're saying this because we care, Tony. I had another thing to say about Tony Ferguson. Like, I got a little hyped when he did his, knee thing when he like slides across the back with his back to the eye. I'm like, oh my gosh, it was smooth. Like, oh, here we go. Come on. It's like he's young again. But man, dude, Tony, hang it up. We're not gonna talk about this anymore. Feed Patty Pimblett, Bobby Green. Let's make that happen right now.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Because I think Patty Pimblett would get what's coming.
Yeah.
The Black Beast has returned. Six-pack Derek Lewis, mind you, is a new mythical fighter. I think he saw Masvidal in the crowd and went, "Let's do it." What do you have to make of this performance? There wasn't much. There was only 30 seconds of fight time, but man, he looked good.
I mean, this was one of the most spectacular knockouts I've ever seen. Just, because it's Derek Lewis, because of what he did after the knockout, and because he's 265 pounds, he cuts down to 265 pounds, and he landed a flying knee and tagged a guy at heavyweight. I mean, it was just unbelievable. I was watching it, literally my jaw dropped. I was just standing there like, what just happened? But it was clean. I mean, they were kind of just going across the octagon, and then out of nowhere, he lands this huge flying knee and just ground and pounds him to the finish. And I know like DeLima was kind of protesting. I saw some people saying like, well, he was, trying to defend himself. I mean, was he? He took like 20 unanswered shots and he was kind of just covering up. So I think it was a perfectly justified stoppage. But yeah, Derek Lewis, the Black Beast. I wouldn't say, I don't know if he's back because, this was a very quick finish, and I'm sure he still has issues with cardio probably. And if he fought like a top 10 guy, I'm not sure how it would go, but I'm still very happy for Derek Lewis. I don't want to take away anything from him.
Yeah, it's Derek Lewis, man. We love Derek Lewis. Also, another legendary post-fight interview. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. What do you think his wife thinks about when he talks about going home to love her?
Maybe she's that type of person. Maybe she really loves that. Maybe she just loves that type of affection on national television on a pay-per-view card. Who knows? But yeah, Derek Lewis, always entertaining, taking his pants off in the octagon, swinging him around over his head. Bruce Buffer was dying laughing. It was a great moment, man. Can't take anything away from this guy.
He threw his cup into the stands, and then he threw his gloves into the stand.
Derek Lewis is a wonderful, wonderful man.
He's a wonderful man. If you haven't seen his Instagram, guys, go check it out. If you like wild things on the internet, that's the place to go. I don't know what to think. Hold on. Who should Derek Lewis fight next? Tabora?
Yeah, I mean, I would say either Tabora or maybe even Tai Tuivasa. But who's Tai fighting next? Doesn't he have a fight lined up?
He's fighting Volkov.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you could do Tybora probably. They might give him another guy ranked below him though. I'm not sure. He's fought a lot of guys though.
Yeah, have Lewis and Rosenstrike fought?
I don't think so.
Oh, there we go.
I mean, that'd be a great matchup. Couple of big power punchers.
A couple big dudes. Um, a couple of relatively big dudes, Jan Blachowicz and Alex Pereira. This was a coin flip fight, man. Blachowicz clearly won the first round. Pereira clearly won the second. And depending on how much you favor that takedown, either Blachowicz or Pereira won the third round. I thought Blachowicz won, but then again, it could have gone either way, and I'm not going to complain about the result.
Yeah, it was a very close fight. I know Blachowicz had, I think, like 5.5 minutes of control time, but he really didn't do much of anything at all when he was on top. He really didn't land that many strikes from top position. Even when he had Pereira's back, he wasn't really doing a whole lot. I think Pereira did a little bit more on the feet. It's not like either guy was extremely active or anything. The one thing that shocked me about this fight was Blachowicz gassed hard after the first round. I mean, he gassed really
Yeah, he
hard, which was
did.
shocking to see, but he was like keeled over, huffing and puffing in there. So, I mean, respect to him because he still kept fighting. He was winging big shots against a very dangerous counterpuncher. He was going left hook for left hook with Pereira, which is insane. He was fully gassed out, still doing that, and he was able to land takedowns. So I thought it wasn't a bad fight, wasn't a bad performance by either guy. I thought Pereira, yeah, he got controlled for a while, so he's definitely going to have to work on his stand-up game, but he's still very new to MMA, new to wrestling. I thought, he nullified a lot of what Jan was trying to do from top position. So there's that. At least he does have some defensive skills on the ground. He could definitely work his stand-ups better. But yeah, I mean, he's still a very impressive striker, obviously. I mean, his leg kicks are always a thing of beauty to watch, the way he just snaps him without basically any tell, like no upper body movement. I mean, he just like throws his ankle at the other guy's ankle,
Yeah,
and it's
I've never
really
seen
impressive.
a guy leg kick like Pereira does.
I don't know how he does it. I mean, truly, I really don't know how he does that. I've never seen anybody do that. But
He tries to like
yeah, I
hit your
mean, I thought it
shin with
could.
the ball of his ankle. I've never. It's weird.
It's very weird, but it's effective. It's effective. He was tagging Adesanya with it, and he also brings that high kick up really nicely with no tell, and of course the left hook. So I mean, I thought this fight could have gone either way, but I'm not mad that Pereira won. And I see that. I think Yuri was talking about coming back to fight him for the title. So hopefully that materializes because that is a very good fight. A
Yeah,
very, very good fight.
let's talk about that for a second. One thing actually, what I found interesting was when in the first round when Blachowicz had Pereira up against the fence and he had his back, why Pereira was staying along the side of the fence because Blachowicz was clearly falling off his right side. If Pereira just scooted over to the left a little bit, Blachowicz would have fallen off his back. So it's interesting. I'm sure he and Glover will go over that, but Pereira versus Prohaska, man, that's a fight for the ages.
Yeah, I think that is the perfect fight because Pereira is such a counter striker and he can be aggressive. Like we've seen in his fights with Adesanya, he can certainly push the pace, but in a lot of his fights, he likes to sit back and wait for you to make a mistake, come to him so he can counter you. And we know Prohaska is going to do that. I mean, it doesn't matter who that guy is fighting. He's going to come forward and he's going to throw big shots and oftentimes pretty reckless shots too. So that is just a perfect setup for a barn burner.
Yeah. I know Blachowicz probably has more jiu-jitsu than Yuri Prohaska, but Yuri Prohaska is just so much more explosive than Blachowicz. If it goes to the ground, I think Yuri Prohaska could really do some things to Pereira because, I mean, I know it was the fifth round. There's 30 seconds left in the fight, but Prohaska sub Glover Teixeira, guys. If you don't think he has ground game, you're an idiot. I'm not a judgmental person by any means. Toby can back me up on that. However, if you don't think he has ground game, he reversed positions too. It was beautiful. Yuri Prohaska is legit. He can fight legitimately on the ground. And I think if Pereira gets there, Prohaska might have his way due to the fact that he's much more explosive than Jan Blachowicz, and he's just quicker and more athletic. And I understand Blachowicz in a straight jiu-jitsu match probably beats Yuri Prohaska, but I don't see. And then also, you can't out dumb Yuri Prohaska in a sense. He's just going to keep pressing forward and you can't do anything about it. You just can't. And I don't think anyone has ever pressured Alex Pereira like that in a fight. So it's going to be, I think that will probably be Pereira's toughest challenge because, he and Izzy just had a kickboxing match essentially, but Yuri Prohaska also he's like Bobby Green. He keeps his hands at his hips. So yeah, Yuri's so unorthodox. Do you watch MMA on Point, Toby?
Yeah, here
On
and there.
YouTube.
Yeah.
They made a top 10 fighting styles that shouldn't work, and Yuri Prohaska was number one. It shouldn't work. It really
No, it
shouldn't.
definitely shouldn't.
But he has like a
Yeah,
98% finish rate. Like, come on.
yeah. What's his record? Like 28-3 or something?
28 and
It's
3. Let me look it
unbelievable.
up real quick.
It's crazy, man. But no, I completely agree with everything you were saying. If people go back and watch that fight with Shera, it wasn't just that final exchange that he was doing well in. I mean, all the grappling exchanges, he was very competent at the least. I mean, he was actually winning a lot of the grappling exchanges, I would say, versus Glover. And yeah, I mean, it's a very tough challenge for Pereira. And there's always a chance that Pereira could just spark him and put him out cold because
Absolutely.
Yuri has been, I mean, he's been knocked out before. Pereira is a huge puncher, so there's always that chance. But Prohashka is very durable. Like for how many times he's been knocked down and how often he gets hurt in fight, he is surprisingly durable. Like you will knock him down, and 10 seconds later, he might knock you down, or he might knock you out cold, or he might take you down. So it's such a fun matchup, man.
Ask Dominic
So many
Reyes.
variables.
Ask
Yeah,
Dominic Reyes.
exactly. I
So I'm
mean,
looking
oh
up
my God. People forget about that fight. Dom Reyes had him 1 second from being
dead
finished,
to
literally
rights.
1 second from being finished. And within like 30 seconds, maybe not even that, Prohashka was back up and he was tagging him.
All right, I'm looking at
Crazy.
Yuri's record. So he has one TKO in his like fifth fight. Then he lost by rear naked choke, and then he lost to Muhammad Lawal on the same night he fought Vijay Nemkov. So like
Just crazy, yeah.
that's what happens. I
Yeah.
mean, was it the same night? Yeah, it was the same night. So
yeah. Wasn't that a pretty grueling long fight with Nemkov as well?
it was 10 minutes where Yuri made Nemkov retire by exhaustion.
Yeah. And then to go and fight King Mo. I mean, if anybody doesn't know King Mo, he is a very good fighter, or was a very good fighter in his prime. Yeah. So Yuri is something else, man.
Yeah, he absolutely is.
If only he could stay healthy and be more active. God.
Yeah, I know. I think I don't think the activity was a problem. No one wants to fight him. I wouldn't want to fight.
That yeah,
I don't
that's true for sure.
And then the injury. But all right, so Yuri Prohaska, 29 wins, 25 by knockout, 3 by submission, 1 decision. the dude's a finisher.
Insane.
He's a finisher.
Yep.
um,
Maybe the best finisher we've ever seen.
Yeah, maybe in mixed martial arts. Also, he subbed
I
Glover.
can't really think of anybody. Yeah.
He subbed Glover. That's all you have to say. The dude will find a way. But
well, speaking of great finishers, though,
bro, I don't know what your reaction was when. First off, good first round, entertaining. You knew it was going to be a barn burner. I thought Poirier won the first round. I don't think he landed as many shots as Gaethje, but the ones he landed were a little more significant, I thought. And that's just how Poirier works. He's awesome. But
definitely
Gaethje, bro, a head kick was the last thing I expected to see from Justin Gaethje. And it wasn't even a good head kick. He was very close. Poirier blocked it. And I mean, it got through enough to where Poirier went, backwards, and Herb Dean dropped the people's elbow on him. But man, bro, my jaw dropped. I didn't even scream. I had a similar reaction as to when Tony Ferguson got sent to a place no one's been by Michael Chandler. But yeah, dude, shout out Justin Gaethje, man.
Yeah, my reaction to this one was just the hands over the head. I was just looking around at people around me. I was like, did I just witness? Like, are we all collectively imagining this, or did this really just happen? But I couldn't believe it, man. I've never seen Poirier get sparked like that. Like, yeah, he's been knocked out before. He got knocked out by Connor. He got knocked out by Michael Johnson, but those weren't like this. I mean, this one, he was out. He dropped like a brick. And yeah, Herb Dean came in there, kind of elbowed him in the chest a little bit, but I thought it was a great stoppage.
He slipped on the monster logo.
Yeah, yeah. But he got in there quick. So shout out Herb Dean for that one. But man, I thought this was such an impressive performance by Gaethje. I mean, arguably, this was more impressive to me than the Tony Ferguson fight. And that's saying a lot just because, and I will make the case right now, because in the first fight that they had, he was throwing that rear leg kick, which would be his right leg to Poirier's right front leg, right? And that's not as damaging of a kick, and it can kind of like knock your balance off, but you're not really gonna throw people's games off. And every time he would throw that kick, Poirier would step through and counter with the left hand, and that's actually what finished that first fight. Was Gaethje threw a leg kick, he had his block low, and Poirier ended up countering with that left hand, right? And so this time he came out and was blasting him with the lead leg kick. So he was coming around with his left leg and kicking Poirier's lead leg. And Poirier really did not know how to deal with that. You could tell that that was really throwing him off. And then he started throwing that high kick, which he's never thrown. I don't know if I've ever seen Justin Gaethje
I don't
throw
think.
a proper high kick. And maybe like one against Fiziev. I don't think he's ever thrown any like proper high kicks though, besides that. And the way he set up this finish was beautiful. And I was talking to a guy when I was watching this fight, and I was like, the way Poirier is blocking with that one arm up, he needs to get both hands up if he wants to, you can get hurt with a kick through your guard. I mean, we've seen it many times before where guys have one arm up to block it, but it's not enough. It's a shin hitting you in the side of the head. You need more defense than that. And I thought it was a great read by Gaethje. I don't know if it was just like an instinctive thing or if they really did drill it. Trevor Whitman's a fantastic coach, but I mean, Poirier, the way he uses that guard, where it's a lot of like rolling with shots, it's a lot of moving left
It's a
to right
shell.
with his guard, moving with yeah, it's a shell guard, and one way to break that is to blast a high kick up there, and he threw that
Huh.
right cross. Poirier went to parry, and then he tried to get his hand back, and he did get his hand back, but it really wasn't in time. I mean, he got it back, but it was at the last second, and that kick just came right through. I mean, I was so impressed by Justin Gaethje in this fight. Not only, was it another banger, a very fun fight, but his technique in this one, his tactics were unbelievable, man. I thought
Yeah.
this was a whole new level of Justin Gaethje that we've never seen.
Yeah. It's scary. I forget. I think I saw this on Twitter, but skill for skill, is Justin Gaethje better than Dustin Poirier? Here's
Oh
my
man,
take on it.
it's hard to say.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to say because I didn't see enough in that fight. If Justin Gaethje beat him in a decision, okay, maybe I can. And Justin Gaethje's clearly improved since that last fight. He's more controlled chaos now, rather than just go in there,
Oh
swing
yeah.
and bang and hope for the best. But I mean, Gaethje, man, he sets up his shots so well. That's the one thing he's improved on from the beginning of his career. If you go back and watch the Michael Chandler fight when Gaethje dropped him with that uppercut, he kept Gaethje's left hook mint, but he feinted left hook. All he did was like push his shoulder forward, and Chandler ducked down, and then Gaethje just sent that thing up. And you don't see that in his early UFC career because he just go in there. It was Gaethje, I think he relied on his chin a lot. He still has a great chin. He can still rely on it, but like he's just become more concise with what he wants to do. And Poirier has too. I mean, Poirier won that first round, in my opinion. Gaethje looked a little sloppy in that first round, I thought, but it's a 5-round fight, so I'm not going to put too much impetus on how one performs in the first round. I think a trilogy needs to happen, and here's how I think it happens. Gaethje, whoever he, Oliveira versus Makhachev. I think Makhachev gets it done again. I really do. Gaethje should get the next title shot. I don't care what anybody says. So hopefully Gaethje, I think he can beat Makhachev. I really do. The power is there, and the wrestling is there too, defensively from Gaethje. And then honestly, I think Poirier should just sit out until then. And then when Gaethje gets the belt, make the trilogy. I think Dustin Poirier has done enough in the UFC to earn that in a sense by not fighting again, but still get the title shot. I think Poirier is really that dude, man. And he still has tread on the tires, like he said. It's not like he got beat the hell up for 5 rounds. He got knocked out. And that's much better than being beat the hell up for 5 rounds. I still think Poirier could still get a win or two and get the title shot, or just wait until Gaethje gets the title, man. But man, both these dudes are so likable. They're so good, and they're so fun to watch. I hope we get to see the trilogy.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. Yeah, going back to what you said, like skill for skill, I don't know honestly who's better. I think this is one of those cases where Poirier just truly did not expect
No.
what Gaethje came in there with. He didn't expect that lead leg kick that threw him off. He didn't expect that high kick that threw him off. I mean, and he still looked good. I definitely agree. He won that first round. He rocked Justin Gaethje in that first round. He landed a beautiful straight left hand,
Was,
tagged Gaethje.
oh, that was
You,
awesome.
you saw his knees buckled a little bit after that shot, but Gaethje, as always, stayed composed. He took it well and was able to get the finish. I would like to see Dustin fight just one more time. Let's say Gaethje does get the title. I would like to see Dustin fight once more, just because this did kind of expose a hole in Dustin's game, which is he has such a boxing heavy style, and his guard is so based on parrying shots, rolling with shots, using his shoulders, using that shell, that if guys keep blasting head kicks like this, it could be some danger for him. So I would love to see him fight just one more time, make some improvements, make the adjustments that he needs to make in terms of, you know, his movement, his guard defensively, blocking against those head kicks. I wouldn't be mad if he just set out and got a title shot. I think, like you said, he's put in enough work in the UFC to definitely deserve that. And honestly, he seemed fine. Usually when you get knocked out pretty brutally like that, it takes a while to recover, but he seemed surprisingly composed after the fight. He knew what had happened. He
Yeah.
knew where the mistake was. He seemed calm. He wasn't upset. So I think, I think this is a minor setback, but I don't think Poirier's done by any means. I saw some
No.
video. I didn't watch it, but some video on YouTube was like Justin Gaethje just ended Dustin Poirier's career, and I was like, what are you
No, he
talking
did.
about, man? Like
Stop.
Dustin Poirier, unless he decides to hang it up, unless Poirier says, you know what, I just don't want to fight anymore. He didn't end anybody's career. Like, yeah, it was one of the best knockouts I've seen for sure, but Poirier could easily be a top 5 guy for a couple more years. I mean, this guy is
He's a
one of the
legend.
best, most well-rounded fighters we've ever seen. And so, man, this lightweight division is it is
Yeah.
crazy how stacked
Like
the lightweight division is.
Poirier was mentioning something about, he just wants to fight big fights. I do not blame him. He is a pay-per-view draw. I will watch Dustin Poirier every time he's on. I love Dustin Poirier.
Yep.
Like RDA, but I know RDA doesn't really want to drop down to lightweight anymore. That's really the only fight I see, because he's not going to fight Dariush. As much as I love Dariush, I'm on the Dariush
Yeah.
hype train. I don't know if you are, but I love me some Benio Dariush. Left hand go burr. But Fiziv's fighting Gamrot. If Fiziv wins, I could see him maybe taking that fight, but I don't think he'll fight Gamrot. As much as I love Gamrot, I Dan Hooker's washed a little bit. If Colby Covington came down to lightweight, maybe I could see that fight happening. But I think he's content with waiting, man. I wouldn't be surprised if he just waits for a title shot. And let's be honest, if Korean Zombie can get a title shot off of Dan Ige, I think Dustin Poirier can get a title shot regardless. Outside of RDA, Poirier's strength of schedule might be the best ever. I really do.
Oh yeah, it's up there. I mean, whatever Poirier wants to do, I think the UFC should oblige him, or at the very least, be amenable to what he's saying. I think both of these guys still have a pretty high ceiling in the division, and it's crazy because I thought Justin Gaethje. There was a time where I thought Gaethje was actually nearing the end of his career because he was talking about it, saying that he didn't want to get into these fights anymore. Just hanging him up. He made such impressive adjustments in his game that he's now the number 2 contender behind Oliveira, and there's nobody else, man. Like I don't care what anybody says. Gaethje is next in line for the winner of Makhachev and Oliveira. Like you said, I think he could do it, man. I really do think he could beat either of those guys. It's a great matchup either way. You could do the rematch with Charlie Olives, and that's a great storyline because the first fight Charles missed weight, so there's that. And it was a war. That first round was fun, but he got finished in that one. Or the Makhachev fight, it's Habib's cousin, and Habib finished Gaethje as well. So either way, it's a great buildup. I would love to see him Poirier again for sure. Yeah, man, the lightweight division is stacked. And yeah, I mean, I think Poirier versus Covington could be fun. Honestly, Poirier could just move up to welterweight if he wanted to. Not like or anything. I think he's only 5'9", but he's a big guy. Like he cuts
He's
a
a
lot of weight to get
wide
to.
dude.
Yeah, he's a wide man. He cuts a lot to get to 155. So that's something would intrigue him. I think it'd be great. It would be a big sell. I mean, that could be a pay-per-view right there, pay-per-view headliner.
he has the weirdest build out of any person I've ever seen. I think, like with the shirt on,
He's
looks
a very
completely
wide
normal,
man.
but he doesn't have like a T shape like a normal man does. It's like it's like a rectangle. Never seen anything like it, but it works.
It's weird. It is very weird.
um, I'm looking at Jed Mishu from MMA Fighting. Of course, Poirier is heartbroken, but I don't blame him for thinking he is the better fighter because I think he skill for skill is, but Gaethje is just that good too. I'm not dissing Gaethje by any means. I even think Gaethje might even consider, yeah, Poirier's better than me in certain areas, boxing, stuff like that, jiu-jitsu. But man,
Oh yeah.
damn man, awesome. And I hope Stephen Thompson gets paid. Damn it, pay the man, pay the man.
Yes.
I said that before, but pay the man.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to see the Poirier Gaethje fight one more time while they're still in their primes, just because both these guys have shown the adjustments that they can make from fight to fight. Like the difference between, if anybody's ever seen Poirier's featherweight run, and he had a good run at featherweight, but if you saw that Poirier versus lightweight Poirier, yeah, I mean, it is a world of difference. And then even, 2016, 2017 Poirier, when he got finished by Michael Johnson versus the Max Holloway Poirier. I mean, this guy makes incredible adjustments between fights. He's got a great camp down there with Mike Brown, Dia Davis as his boxing coach, and Gaethje with Trevor Whitman. I mean, these guys, I know that for a fact that if they have another fight, they will both make a million different adjustments, and it'll be just as good as
It'll be
the last
awesome.
two that they've had. So, I mean, I can't wait, man.
Coming from MMA Fighting. Ooh, do you know what fun tier list would be? Best MMA outlets.
Yeah, we could do it.
We'll do it.
Bloody
we'll do
Elbow, number one. F tier Bloody Elbow.
MMA Mania.
No, seriously, I love Bloody Elbow.
Do you actually
Yeah.
love Bloody Elbow?
Yeah, and they're
We might have a little
Indian
disagreement
now.
there.
I like them. I really like some of the reporting on like the UFC financial situation. Same with One Championship. I mean, One Championship loses an inordinate amount of money,
I
and
think they
Bloody Elbow
lost
has done some really good
$500
reporting.
million last year.
Yeah, yeah, and Bloody Elbow has been on the forefront of that reporting. So I've really enjoyed some of their work at least.
Like their deep stuff is really, really good. But some of this, like
Yeah,
their clickbait is like, oh, what the hell? You don't need to do this. You have some great reporters on your team. Same with MMA Mania. MMA Mania is wild, but we'll do a tier list one of those. We have to. So we got this is episode 298, I think. We got to think of something for 200. We'll talk after the show. But so we have a ref tier list, which we'll do. We have an outlet tier list we will do. If you have any ideas, let us know. But back to some news. Prohaska suggests that Jamal Hill injury stemmed from weight gain. Who would have thought?
Oh, I mean, honestly, yeah, could have.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm sadly like Prohaska said. My reaction was, "What are you doing, man?" That wasn't bad. I gotta give myself credit for that. Hold on. It doesn't matter what the reason was, but I saw he had big weight. He gained weight, and especially makes all the joints stressful. Just stupid, man. I don't know why they gain weight like that.
Yeah, I understand gaining a healthy amount of weight, but if you've seen Jamal Hill out of fight camp, that dude gets big, and he doesn't just put on muscle; he puts on fat. Like he gets a huge belly out of weight or out of fight camp. So, yeah, I'm not sure why he does that, but he definitely needs to be a bit more disciplined, I would say.
I really think that he should what is it? I'm trying to think. Honestly, he could, if he lost weight, he could go down to middleweight.
I was just gonna say he could make 85 probably. And speaking of weird builds, I think Jamal Hill has the weirdest build I've ever seen. That dude's pecs, his pecs are so weird. He has a very odd shaped chest. I don't know what is going on with that
too,
guy.
I guess.
Yeah.
Joe
I
Rogan
don't
would be
know.
in on that.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Terrence Crawford beat Errol Spence. That I need to go back. I need to find the highlights. But from what I saw, that was a beatdown. I'm not a big boxing fan. The best never fight the best, and we never get the fights we want. I'm talking to you, Tyson Fury.
Isn't he fighting Ngannou, I think?
Yes, and he's not defending his. Are you seriously
That's
afraid of
interesting.
Usyk? Usyk's like 50 pounds lighter than you are, and you're one of the most
I
skilled
don't know.
boxers of all time. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Usyk could win that fight, but dude,
I think he just wants a
oh,
payday, man. I can't blame him. I
I
think he wants a
can't
big
blame him
payday.
either. But man,
And
just
it's a much
fight.
easier fight, objectively, just a much easier.
Yeah, just jab, 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 jab,
Yeah.
and you'll win the fight.
Yeah. But
Um,
yeah, man, I was gonna mention too, like, I know this isn't a boxing show, but everybody go watch Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. That is one of the most masterful performances in the history of boxing. I mean, this guy has been number one pound for pound for a long time at this point. He's been top five, top 10 pound for pound for, I mean, years and years. Like Terrence Crawford is phenomenal. He's on a 9 fight finish streak in boxing, fighting all for titles. I mean, all these fights he's been in have been for world titles. And he is now the only male boxer to ever be an undisputed world champion at 2 different weight classes. Because you see, like, Pacquiao, Floyd, they had titles at different weight classes, but they weren't the undisputed. They didn't have all the titles. And Bud Crawford now has 2 weight classes where he is the undisputed champion. No man has ever done that in boxing. I mean, this guy, he's getting into, like, this is one of the best boxers we've ever seen. Period. End of story.
yeah, he is 40-0, man. I mean, Sean Porter, Errol Spence. He's fought some guys, man. He's that good, guys. I suggest we do talk some boxing on here, but Amir Khan, he's
I was watching the highlights of the Errol Spence fight. He landed a punch. I kid you not, with this much space. He landed, like, he threw it, like, I don't even know how he landed it, but it
that's
was
the
one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen.
that's the thing with boxing, right? Like, MMA guys can go in the boxing ring. In theory, they can win. Like, they know how to box. But these boxers, they're so good at one specific thing. Like, that's why you see, videos of boxers like going up against some MMA guys. The MMA guy can't touch him. Like, they literally can't
Yep.
touch him. But, one of you boxers better come over to MMA to make it fair, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, shout out Terrence Crawford, man. He's good, bro. He's really good. Speaking of boxing, Tommy Fury's fighting KSI.
Wow. There you go. That's interesting.
Tommy Fury by round 2 knockout. Book it.
Yeah. I think it's a decent tough fight. I think KSI is, like, somewhat skilled at boxing. He's not been overly impressive, but I think he's not bad at all. I mean, I think both Jake Paul are actually, like, somewhat decent boxers at this point. I know it's kind of fun to just, like, hate on them because they're YouTubers and they're both annoying. I hate them as people, but they're decent boxers. But Tommy Fury is also, like, an actual trained boxer. So yeah, I'd probably pick Tommy
Yeah,
Fury in that one.
it's weird because, like, I've watched KSI since I was like 12. Like,
Yeah.
so
Sidemen.
young. It's weird. KSI's 30 now. That blows my mind. Like, he's 30.
It's weird to think about, man.
Yeah, I just hate watching all of our old YouTubers when we were younger get old. Like,
Yeah, there's so many of them, man. Like, watching what happened to H3, God, that has been really depressing. I
is
don't know if
that
you ever
Ethan
watched
Klein?
H3, but yeah, yeah. He used to make some of the funniest videos on YouTube. He would, do a lot of collabs with like iDubbbz, Filthy Frank, Vsauce. Like, he did so many
Vsauce.
amazing videos. Yeah,
Vsauce might
just
be the
so many
best channel
fun
on YouTube.
videos, man. It's up there. But I thought personally H3 was my favorite YouTuber for years and years. And then he just started doing podcasts. He did a podcast with Trisha Paytas. Ever since then, I was like, I'm just not going to watch this guy because I cannot stand Trisha Paytas.
Nor can I. Um, like, I don't know if you watched. Did you watch Minecraft YouTubers when you were growing up?
Yeah. Captain
Captain Sparkles, man.
Used to
Like,
watch.
bro, like, he's
I
31.
used to
And
watch oh yeah. I used to watch what are those videos that he did with Tom Syndicate and
the Hunger Games.
Firefox, I think. Yeah, it was like the Hunger Games, but they also did, like, the survival series. Like,
Uh-huh.
they would go on that island and they would start, like, with nothing on that one
Oh
island and then try to
yeah, I
build
know
the
what you're
whole.
talking about.
Yeah, what is that series
Skyblock.
called? Oh, it's so big. Yeah. Oh man, there's I cannot remember the name of their
I'm
other.
gonna
They
say.
had a huge, like a really big series at one point.
Oh, hold on, hold on, hold on. I'm looking this up now. I'm sorry, guys, but
I know
this
it's
is
gonna irk me.
incredibly important.
It
I
really is. It really is actually.
like this
I
is our
agree.
childhood. Okay, we're 22 and 21. Maya Knight. There we go.
Maya Knight. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I used to watch, I had really bad internet growing up. And so I would watch, Minecraft is pixelated by default, but I would watch like an actually pixelated, like 144p version of Captain Sparkle's videos just because I loved Maya Knight that much, just for the story. I thought it's just a fun time, man. I loved
Dude,
watching it.
9 years ago. Nine
Yeah.
years ago.
It's wild, man. It's wild.
Captain Sparkles was my age when he was filming this stuff.
Dude, it was so sad too because it was like a couple years later that Tom Syndicate got exposed for doing like CS:GO scams with this guy T Martin, where they had this website that they set up and they would get people to gamble on skins on there and everything, and all the profits were just going to them, but they didn't disclose that at all. You know who actually exposed that was H3. H3 was the guy who there was like this small YouTuber who kind of figured it out, but H3 really broke the story. And man, how the mighty fall. But now Captain Sparkles, he's still doing his thing,
Yeah,
He
he's
seems
still
like a
doing
good
this.
guy.
Oh, I'd love to hang out with Captain Sparkles, man. Like he seems like
He's
I think he might
he's
be one of the
wholesome.
most genuine dudes on YouTube. Like he has his cars and
He
like he's
yeah,
like a big kid.
he
But
does seem very
he's
genuine.
31. Just
That's
oh
super weird.
gosh, that's
It's
so
like
weird.
if anybody grew up a fan of iCarly, which I was a huge fan of iCarly,
Who doesn't
but
love iCarly?
The guy who played Spencer Shay is like legitimately, I think, almost 40 years old at this point
I think he's almost
from that
50.
show. Maybe, yeah, maybe he's older than
Gotta look
40,
this
which
up
is
now. I'm sorry, guys.
like
This is
really
important
weird to
stuff.
think about.
This is the most pivotal episode of Throwing Hands ever. Jerry Trainer, he is 46 years old.
Oh my, oh, don't tell me that, man. Come on.
Marina Cosgrove
Oh,
is gonna
that
be
is
30 this
horrible.
year, I think. She's 30.
Oh, that is so
Ah!
that's so weird. That is so so weird. I can't handle that, man.
I can't
That's too
handle it
much.
either. Jeanette McCurdy's like 32. Like
Oh,
she's
jeez.
31 years old. Nathan Kress, 30. He has a kid and a wife. Guy who
Wow.
played Neville's 28. And then Gibby, shout out Gibby, man, 27.
That's oh my
Dude,
God.
let's stop talking. Stop talking about that.
Yeah, we are getting off topic here, but
No, it's not even that. I don't like. Ugh. I don't
I
like
don't,
it.
I don't like to think about that stuff either.
Um. Oh, there was Ryzen versus Bellator. I totally forgot about that.
I completely forgot. I was gonna watch that, but I think
I think you made the right choice
uh
not watching Bellator, man.
yeah, I think AJ McKee was supposed to be on that card, but his fight pulled. He got a bad staph infection, I think. So that's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, that
But
was a grody. Like he had like a hole in his knee or something. Like it was pretty gross.
oh, I was going down the rabbit hole of staph infections, and there's one that has always just made me so disgusted. And if anybody's ever looked up Kevin Randleman when he got his staph infection, he had one under his arm, like right here. And I kid you not, it was a hole like this big under, like right
Oh,
on his lat muscle.
that's
So
filthy.
if anybody wants to see something like truly horrifying and disgusting, just look up Kevin Randleman's staph or look up Mark Hunt. He had a very similar staph infection on his leg, and it was also like this big.
All righty.
So look that up or don't if you don't want to be grossed out.
Don't look. Oh, I'd recommend you don't. All right. Um. All right. Let's look at some of these Bellator results. Patricio Pitbull lost.
Did you
Against
really?
Chihiro Suzuki. He barely even fought a month ago.
Oh, oh,
Why'd he take? That's a dumb fight to take, especially after
I
kind
can't
of
believe Pitbull lost.
35. What was
Yeah,
he
that's
thinking?
weird.
Juan Archuleta beat Iromo Iromasa Ougi Kubo. I'm sorry if I botched your name. Korshkov beat Larkin. Korshkov's been around forever.
So was Lorenz Larkin, honestly. I love Lorenz Larkin. He's been around for
Yeah.
a long time.
He absolutely
That,
got destroyed by Ben Askren.
yeah.
But then again, he was
That's actually
23.
that's actually a solid fight, man. Korshkov and Larkin. Like this card actually had really good fights on it with no hype whatsoever. I didn't Magomedov sub Danny Sabatello,
Danny
which is not
Sabat.
like not super surprising, I guess, but Sabatello's not bad. I mean, he's a pretty decent fighter.
You want to hear something crazy, guys? Sabatello was on Throwing Hands. Go find that interview. Go find that interview, guys.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice.
we have a former world
Oh,
title challenger on the. We had
yeah.
little do we know,
A guy
unbeknownst to
a
us.
guy who won on one of the judges' scorecards in that world title fight, although he did not win at all. He definitely
He
did
might have
not
gotten a
win.
round, maybe.
Maybe generously, yes.
Yeah, Ben Askren. Yeah, he absolutely destroyed Korshkov. I remember he when he had a back mount, he like shook his hands up there and went USA, and then everybody started chanting that. Shout out Ben Askren, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kana Watanabe beat Veda Arteaga. Kyoji Horiguchi beat Makoto Takahashi, and then Patricky Pitbull beat Roberto Satoshi de Souza.
Wait, so Patricio, he got knocked out, like fully
Yeah,
knocked out, one punch. Yeah.
KO.
Oh,
Yeah,
dang.
one punch KO. It looks like.
This was at a catch weight of 154 after cutting down to 135 not long ago to come all the way back up to 154 seems like a really weird decision, but I mean, yeah, like look at the names on this card, man. You got the Pitbull brothers, you got Kyoji Horiguchi, Magomedov, Korshkov, Juan Archuleta. I mean, this is a really stacked card, and there was basically no promotion of it. Like they did not promote this card whatsoever, and it was on at like midnight. It went into like 3 a.m. or something because it was over in Japan, which I get, but I mean, come on, Bellator, come on, Ryzen. If you want to really compete with the UFC, you got to do better than this.
Yeah, you got to find a way to show the product to the people, or like put it on a Sunday, or like a Thursday or
Yeah,
something where people can watch it. Don't weird.
got to do
That's why
something.
Scott Coker's never going to beat Dana White.
Scott Coker got very lucky with Strikeforce. It was not because he is some ultra talented promoter. He got very lucky with Strikeforce.
He had some amazing fighters on there too. That's the thing.
Yeah, it was a great promotion, but I don't think it was because of Coker.
No. All right, Toby, we've been recording for an hour. I think it's time we wrap it up. But do you have anything else to add?
No, but man, time flew by. This was just a really fun card. A lot of things we had to catch up on. Yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah, great time, great time. So when we come back, we're going to be previewing Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Font. Great card. That's a card you don't want to miss, guys. We're spoiled through September. We're getting toward the very latter part of these 17 straight weeks of cards or whatever it is. We're spoiled, guys. So we'll see you next time.